So hello guys and welcome back. We're now exploring a whole bunch of preview cards from Aetherdrift, and which it started basically informally this week. So we take a look at a few of the cards revealed. We try to again decipher its possibilities and uses, and particularly in the standard format. So for now, I'm going to share to you a list, which again it's like a tribal, so it's not pretty much obvious that I'm a fan of tribal decks, but I think I would give this certain tribal archetype a shot for standard with these new cards that you can notice here on the back. So this archetype that I'm featuring for today is zombies. So I've tried first mono black version, so you can take a look here. We have a rundown of the cards. We have 4 artifacts, 25 creatures, 1 enchantment, 1 planeswalker, Liliana, 5 instants, and 24 lands. So we're going to view each of these, why it is chosen. So notice these 2 new cards from Aetherdrift, which particularly supports this tribal. So we have seen in a previous video this card, Lifecraft Engine, which was also seeing, I think, would have a use here in this deck, because it can also have this aggro effect of choosing zombies as a creature type, also making them bigger with this ability of also becomes a threat on its own with its Gruul, and that is a 4/4 creature. So at the same time, making sure that there is a non-creature anthem effect. And in addition to that, we have this new card. This is just preview earlier today as of this posting. This is Cursed Cloth Wrapping. So this card is a 4 mana artifact. It's 2 and black. It has the ability that zombies you control gets +1, and then it can also be used to tap target creature card in your graveyard gets an embalm cost, wherein its embalm cost is equal to its mana cost. So if you are not familiar with embalm, it's like a returning mechanic from Amonkhet, with this ability that you can cast this card from your graveyard through its paying the embalm cost. But here you just have this ability gained through Cursed Cloth Wrappings, wherein you can cast it again from your graveyard, paying its mana cost as its embalm cost. So it becomes a zombie creature, also, and a certain effect that you can basically get to use your graveyard again for added threats in case that they got discarded or they got killed early on in the game. So with that, the lineup here, let's discuss more of the creature choices. So we have 4 1-drops, 7 2-drops. We have a lot variants of the 3-drops. Well, Death Baron, Minute Reaper. Also, Invisible Slasher is basically a zombie, and our high mana cost is only Glisa. So we can see here we have the return of Diagraph Gruul, which is reprinted in Foundations. So we have 4 copies to the deck. This is just basically 1 mana 2/2 creature, which gets to improve with the anthem effects. And next of it is Fester Lich. So this is from Murders at Carlo Manor. I chose this one because its ability that this is a sort kind of a Basking Rotwala effect, as a black Basking Rotwala, because it can have to be able to pump itself by paying 2. It gets +1 on the end turn and activate only once. But the good thing here is that it can also get you to mill 2 cards. So meaning, if you're milling with your card and you mill of your creatures, you can then use them later on to be embalmed by the Cursed Cloth Wrappings ability. At the same time, we have also creatures that benefits from graveyards, such as this one. We have a Razorless Transmogrant. You can pay 6 or just cost less if an opponent controls 4 or more basics. It becomes come back to play from your graveyard with the additional +1 counter on it, and that means that it becomes a recurring threat. And if it ever gets milled by the Lich's ability, you can still get to play this later on in the late game. So that is your 8 1 mana drop, which makes sure that your curve early on is very much good, curving into Death Baron. So the choices here for the 2 drops, aside from of course Razorless Transmogrant, which is an artifact creature zombie. This is also a good attacker per se because it's a 3/1 and can be pumped later on, becomes a 4/2, and also recurring effect. aside from that, we have the foundation card, Zur Al-Zur, Lich Lord. A 2-mana 2/2 with a ward of pay 2 life, which also punishes your opponents because you're basically an aggro deck. Having them to pay life would also help you achieve your goal of making their life total into 0. And then you can have this ability also that you may cast target zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn. So in any case, those creatures are discarded or got killed, you can use this one to cast them again from your graveyard, basically casting them and making them return. So that makes you very resilient late game, and early on I still got a good 2-drop that can attack and can protect itself by having your opponents pay life. And again, that's Baron. This is a good reprint. This is not its art, but basically this is still a good way for you to have a 3-mana zombie that can get the other zombies +1 and have that touch. And additional 3-drop here are your Mirror Reaper, which makes sure that creatures or non-token creatures you control dies, you will get to draw a card, but of course of the cost of 1 damage to your life total. So that is 2 copies of the deck. I will chosen 2 because given the curve of this deck, you would need to have this more over in the late game. So we'd also prefer cards like Unsable Slasher, which can finish off games quickly. At the same time, this is also a very resilient card because if it dies, if it had no counters on it, return it to the battlefield tap until other source cards go with 2 stun counters. So it becomes a recurring threat on its own. At the same time, if you get to have cards like Zur Azur or Curse Scroll Droppings, you can get to cast them again back from the grave into the battlefield. So last but not the least, your Ghalta. So Ghalta is 5 to cast 4/4 threat. You can also have an anthem effect, +1 on other zombies you control or zombie creature you control, but its ability that whenever you commit a crime, that is, you get to target your opponent's creatures or target their hand, you can get to create 2-tap 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature tokens. The only drawback is that it only triggers once, but it doesn't matter because this is a very good card advantage late game. You just consider untapping with Ghalta and then killing off on your opponent's creatures and be able to produce this bonus zombie tokens. And with added anthem effect, they are 3/3 per se with Ghalta in the battlefield. So last, before we go with the lands, we check on the choices of the spot removals. Of course, Black is offering the best spot removals currently in Standard. We have 2 Go for the Throats, 3 Countdowns, which is very efficient now in the metagame, and 1 copy of Nowhere to Run. This is also a pseudo removal, but its purpose here is that you can punish those opponents that has these abilities that gets their creature sex-proof. So these ward abilities don't have those creature triggers. So Nowhere to Run is basically, I think, a good one of copy in the main deck of most of the black-based decks in Standard. So lastly, aside from Liana of the Veil, this is also a solid 3-mana Planeswalker that edits creatures and also punishes mid-range and control decks by discarding them. We have now the lands choices, which I think having also many swamps as possible is good because it's mono version. But later on, if you want to add or splashing other colors, you can still improve this by changing some of the swamps into mana fix non-basics. So we have here, of course, aside from the swamp, Cavern of Souls, make sure that your zombies will resolve through controls counterspell or even through Dimir's counters. And then we have 3 copies of Soulstone Sanctuary. So Sanctuary here would also benefit you because it is also a creature with a zombie subtype, because it has whole creature types, and it is also a threat on its own. By paying 4, it becomes a 3/3 creature with vigilance, and with anthem effect, it also becomes a 4/4 or 5/5 later on, which is also an added threat to this deck. And we check on the stats. Average mana cost is 2.25, but with 24 lands, I think it's very efficient already to have those lands set up in this deck. Most land drops here are 1 mana and 3 mana cost. And to check on the tokens if they are by their side. So we only have token. So this is the zombie rogue token produced by Ghalta, and its effect whenever you commit a crime. So I think overall this version of the mono black for zombies will still have a potential now for the current upcoming Aetherdrift Standard. Now that we have Curse Cloth Wrappings as a good late game effect that can make sure that your creatures would have embalm effects and can be used to cast later on, or be having to get a continuous threat on this deck on your board against your opponents. So that's, I guess, that's pretty much it for this deck tech for Aetherdrift Standard. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, suggestions, or any list that you want to share with me, and we can have a discussion about it and compare if further should we go with mono black or just add more splash effects or splash colors to be able to gain more advantage of other multicolor zombies in the current standard format. Again, guys, thanks for watching. This is your deck tech for zombies for Aetherdrift Standard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and see you guys on the next video.